Welcome to the Win, Make, Give podcast. It's Chad Hyams here with you today, and I've got an interview coming, and you might notice I'm the only one here for the interview. And you might have noticed a pattern, folks. When we have interviews with health people, when we're going to talk health, always seems that Bob and Ben come up with something on their schedule to make them unavailable for that conversation. I don't know. Coincidence? I don't think so. Today, we're going to take the health, wealth, leadership, and legacy concepts that we talk here, and folks, we're really going to dive into health. We're not going to overwhelm you with stuff that you're like, wait, I don't get. But we're going to really talk to someone who's going to be able to talk health with us. We are also going to talk leadership because this guest has done such an amazing job with leading herself and so many others. Folks, you want to get your kids listening to this episode? We might say a bad word or two along the way, but it's worth it for the lesson and the empowerment that's going to come. And we're going to definitely talk legacy because I can tell you this woman is going to leave a legacy behind her that is going to empower so many people, including so many of you. So folks, without any further ado, I want to introduce you to, and I feel like I should be doing the guy from the boxing or the UFC, and we should be doing the let's get ready to rumble voice here and stuff. But I want to introduce you to the beast of the East, Eastern champion of the Titan Games on NBC, Courtney Roselle. Courtney, welcome to the Win, Make, Give podcast.
Oh, thank you. That was probably the nicest introduction I've ever heard of myself in my life. And I've done a ton of podcasts and everything in between. I'm like, wow. Is that me?
I'm happy to follow you and just be your introduction person from now on, Courtney, so we can set you up for all of that. You know, Courtney, I was sitting there. I'm going to tell everybody, if you've never watched the Titan Games, that's The Rock's competition show. For those of you who are like, I don't even know what the name of it's called, but I like to watch The Rock, right? If you've watched the Titan Games, you saw Courtney. And my wife and I, we watched it season 1, and she told me, she said, you should go audition for this and all that. And whatever. Okay, I'd never looked into it, didn't even realize the season 2 was coming. And then all of a sudden there it was on our TV, and we don't miss an episode. And Courtney, we were watching and we were watching and we were watching, and then there you were. And I'm telling you, my wife turned to me and said, you got to get her on the podcast. You got to get this one to share her story. And this was before you even won. And I was like, come on, win the East, win the East. That'll be even better for the podcast, right? And then, of course, we were cheering for you like crazy on the finals. I won't say anything, folks, in case you want to go back and watch the series. Yet, we were having a great time watching you. Courtney, before we even get into everything, let's look at what's going on in the world right now and say, what was it like to be on the Titan Games with The Rock?
I swear that's like my number one question. Well, everyone always wants to know like what it's like to hug The Rock. So I think that's like my number one question. Number 2 is just the experience. But I mean, it's surreal. I really can't believe, number 1, it's even over because it was such a process, and we actually did it right before this pandemic. So in February, we were filming in Atlanta, and we were not supposed to actually release this show till January of 2021, but because there was no sports on TV, NBC moved us up, and they were like, no, air this now. And it was so cool to go back and like look at all the obstacles, because you like black out during it. Your adrenaline is going during it the whole entire time. You're like, how did I look? How did I act? How did it feel like winning that? Like it was a very, very surreal experience, and I can't believe the snowball effect that came from it. And I could only be so grateful that everybody tuned in and supported. And we were the number 1 show every single Monday and weekday night, I believe. Throughout the week, we were the number 1 show on TV. So I can only be so thankful.
Yeah, you were the Monday Night Football without any football because we had you guys to watch. Now, Courtney, You didn't answer it though. Tell everybody, what's it like to hug The Rock?
I tell everybody it's like rainbows and butterflies. Like it is, you just hug them, you forget where you are. And like, I'm 5'9", so I'm 5'9", 5'10", which is, it's not like super tall for a girl, but I'm pretty tall. I'm pretty big. I'm pretty muscular. And he makes me feel like a child, like a baby when he hugs me, because that's how big he is.
So he really is as big as he looks.
Oh, he's huge. He is Huge. But he's so genuine and so nice. He handpicks every single contestant for the show. There was over like 10,000 applicants, I say, and he handpicked 36 contestants. So he really knows exactly who you are. He's like, hey, Courtney, what's up in Jersey? And I'm like, wait, me? Wait, you know where I'm from? Like, you never would think that, but he very much is invested into his show.
That's amazing. And folks, if you couldn't guess that Courtney was from New Jersey from her accent, now she's given that away to you. Plus, of course, I did mention the Beast from the East. So, Courtney, here you are. You're on the show, and your story is amazing. And we're going to dive into that. And folks, that's what I want you to get your kids from. And that's why I'm also warning you, she's from New Jersey, right? So people from the East Coast there, we like to kind of tell you how it is, and we don't hold back, and we sometimes don't censor ourselves. So I'm just warning everybody in advance, just in case. I don't think you're the kind of person that's going to drop any language, but hey, we've done it before on the podcast, so if it happens, it happens. And here's the thing, folks, if you've never watched the Titan games, you don't have to go back and watch all of them on demand. They're there for you to go back and watch this season, which was amazing. But I challenge you to go to your computer and Google Courtney Roselle lunar eclipse.
Now, lunar Courtney, impact, yes. Yeah.
Lunar impact. I'm sorry. Yes, it's called lunar impact. This event on the show, for those of you who've never seen it, I got to describe it, and then I'm going to ask Courtney to explain how it felt.
Yeah.
You and your opponent are, I don't know. I'm going to say it feels like you're around 50 feet apart from each other, and you each have a ladder in front of you. And you climb straight up this ladder, and you get onto a crescent moon that gets narrower and narrower at the ends. And halfway in the middle of the crescent moon, there is a wall. Now, I don't know how much this wall weighs. Do they tell you how much the wall actually weighs?
No, they don't tell us anything for the obstacles, how much anything weighs, like ever. Ever. We don't get to practice. We don't get to touch it. No. So no.
So you don't have any more advanced warning than you've watched it on TV yourself, maybe from season 1. Okay, yeah. So you run up you climb this ladder, and then you run along this narrow curved path, and you get to this wall, and this wall moves, and your job is to push the wall in all the way to the other end so that person is pushed off. So I hope everyone can kind of get the visual of this, and don't worry, everyone's harnessed in so you don't actually like fall to the ground. You get caught when you fall. Now, in season 1, I remember watching some amazing battles at this, and this was my wife's and my favorite obstacle of watching people push. And there was one in season 1 where the guy pushes his opponent literally like a foot from the edge. And the guy somehow gets the wall to stop moving against him, and he pushes it all the way back.
All the way back. Yep.
He had burned the other guy out. But Courtney, that's not what happened in your event. No. You were climbing this ladder, and I remember watching your opponent slip on the top rung.
Yeah.
And went, she's done. Like, I mean, as soon as you had a half a step, she was done. But you don't see that during the event at all, do you?
No, I have no idea what she's doing on the other side. I only see her when I'm running towards the wall. So the half crescent, I guess you could say.
How did it feel? You're running towards the wall as much speed as you're willing to give it up on this little platform. You know you're going to get to the wall before her. You probably can tell that. What's the thought that's going through your mind at that point? I know you said you kind of black out when these things are happening and you're on pure adrenaline, but now that you can think back, can you remember any thought going through your head at that moment?
Oh yeah, I'm going to ram this wall so bad that I almost scare the shit out of her. Like, that's my tactic. So my tactic is like run into this wall full speed like a football player. I'm the youngest of 6 and I have 4 older brothers. So I grew up with football and being a tomboy all the time. So I just said to myself, like, you're going to run into this wall full force and hopefully she sees you and startles because she's like nervous and scared. That's exactly what I said through my head.
Okay, now folks, you can't see through the wall.
No.
So once you start to get near the wall, you lose sight of your opponent and all you see is the wall, and you don't know if they're pushing, if they're one direction, the other direction, what they're doing. But your intention was to hit this wall, coming at it with such speed. She saw this wall move and just got scared of this wall coming at her.
Yeah, because she's a firefighter. So for her to slip on the ladder was actually so surprising because if she didn't slip on the ladder, she would have actually got there first. So I was planning on going and getting there second, not going to lie in my head, but I have about, I would say 25 pounds on her. So I was like, I'm just going to use my brute force. But then when I saw that I was going to hit the wall before her, I was like, I'm going to scare the shit out of her. That's my tactic. So I just ran into the full wall, full force, my hand out. And she said she braced herself. Like she said in her head, brace for impact, because she saw how fast I was going into this wall. And she said her startling, and then just me, she couldn't stop her feet and she couldn't stop herself. So that's exactly what happened.
And she didn't. And I mean, it was amazing. I mean, they're cutting away, obviously, watching The Rock,
Yeah.
watching this happen. My wife and I were screaming at home. I mean, it took you how long? I mean, there was nothing that stopped. She didn't have a chance once you hit that wall. She just went for a ride. How long did it take you to actually throw her off the other
I
end?
set a course record, rumor has it, for under 18 seconds that I was on the
Oh,
entire course. I mean, it was a long day because I did nuts and bolts first, and then you waited about 8 hours in between. You interview, do B-roll, you do hair and makeup, you do everything in between. So it was like 9 o'clock at night, and everybody before me was on Lunar Impact for like 15 minutes, 20 minutes. I mean, they cut it short on TV. You don't realize how long they're up there for. But I was like, I am not going to be here for another 20 minutes. I'm hungry. I'm tired. I just want to go. So I was like, I'm going all in on this.
that's awesome. and,
Yeah.
and you did. And it definitely earned you the title Beast of the East, because from there you just went on and kept winning and winning and winning. Some amazing opportunities there. And folks, I'm going to tell you, go check out the whole series. There are some great battles on there.
Yep.
But as you just heard, it won't take you more than about 30 seconds to probably watch the whole clip if you go Google Courtney Roselle and Lunar Impact.
Yeah.
It was awesome. So Courtney,
Every contestant was
congratulations.
awesome. Yeah. Every contestant was absolutely amazing.
And they are, and it's wonderful. And the stories that are behind so many of them are powerful. Obviously, what we've heard with reality stories is not only do you have to be able to compete and live up to the level of competition on it, you need to have a story as well that goes with it, because the TV shows are selling the show. They're not just selling two people competing with each other. They're selling the story of what's happened. So let's take that as the segue to it, Courtney.
Yeah.
I know your story very briefly from what you shared on the show, from my readings I've done to prepare for today's opportunity. But our audience is sitting here going, okay, that sounded fun, whatever that was, Chad, and I'm going to go watch it. But I have no idea who Courtney is. What is it about your story that really got you to where you are today that we really want to share with everybody out there?
Well, the reason they booked me for the show was just because I told them that I grew up as like a feminine tomboy. I grew up trying to, fit into boxes or fit into certain parts of life instead of just trying to be myself. And I grew up in sports. And I went into the modeling industry to try to like define my femininity. Again, I'm tall, I'm 5'9", my legs are up to my chin. If you ever saw me, my legs are most of my body. So everybody's like, go into modeling, do it. And I thought this would define my feminine side to everybody. I don't know who I was trying to prove myself to, but somebody out there. And I got denied by so many modeling agencies at the age of like 13, saying I was too muscular, I was too athletic, you'll only be a plus size model. I mean, you're never going to walk a runway, so I guess we'll just put you in print as a plus size model just because of my athletic build.
Hmm.
Yeah, so I was at 13. It hits you hard at 13 because your body's already going through 92 different things that you don't even know what's going on. You really don't. You have no idea what's going on. So I just threw myself into sports, and I ended up going to college for basketball, having a really awesome athletic career. And I didn't have to define myself in basketball. I was just everybody wants to be strong and everybody wants to be big. And I didn't have to hide myself behind my strength saying, I'm not Courtney Roselle because I'm athletic. And when I got out of college, I discovered the sport of CrossFit, and that was such a saving grace for me. I went into this sport just lifting barbells and being strong. And again, it never defined you if you're strong for a woman or strong for a male. In my sport of fitness, you're just strong. And it gave me such confidence and such a booster that I tried to go into the modeling industry again at the age of 26, 27. The modeling industry hit me even harder and told me that I know of no little girl will ever want to look like me. So I went into New York City. They called me in. They're like,
Wait a minute. Say that again. So the modeling industry actually said to you, No little girl's ever going to want to be like you.
No, yeah, no girls want to flip a magazine and look like you. You look too much like a power lifter. You're too athletic. You're too muscular. That's not what fitness modeling is about. Because I thought fitness modeling would be at least perfect for me. At the age of 13, they already told me you'll never be a runway model. You'll never be seen like that. So if anything, you only have a job in print magazine. So I was like, oh my God, I'm in fitness. I'm on Athletic Build. They'll want me as a fitness model. Oh no. They brought me in and they were like, no, no, no. We can't have this. We can't have this in print. No little girl's going to want to flip a magazine and look like you. You're just not going to make it in the modeling industry. So yeah, it was like a hard hit at first. Thank God I was with my brother at the time and he brought me into the modeling agency. We went out. He was like, you know what? Who cares? Like you're so confident now and you're so like, you are so comfortable in your skin. And I was like, I don't care. Like, I don't care anymore. Mind you, then 4 months later, my mom goes to the US Open and sits next to the assistant editor of Vogue. Her name is Jill. And my mom has a couple cocktails in her. And Jill is there to book athletes for Vogue. She's like, I need athletes to be in the Vogue magazine. I'm here to scout some athletes at the US Open, blah, blah. And my mom turned to her and was like, my daughter's trying to be a fitness model. Like, this is what she looks like. And she gives her my card to Jill. And I'm so embarrassed. I'm like, Mom, I can't believe you just did that to the assistant editor of Vogue. She'll never call me. She's like, no, she's going to call you. She told me she's going to call you. Well, she ends up calling me about a week and a half later, sits me in front. I go to the Freedom Towers, Condé Nast. I'm sitting in a room with an editor of Shape Magazine, Self Magazine, Vogue, Fitness Magazine. They're all like, just tell me your story. Why are you something so great that your mom says? I tell my story. Self Magazine books me, Shape Magazine books me for a story. And then 3 weeks later, Vogue, Jill calls me and says, I need you for a photo shoot right now in Brooklyn because we need an athletic girl that has muscles and no girl can represent that in the fitness modeling world. And you're the only one that can do it that I could think of. You need to get to Brooklyn right now. Went to Brooklyn. My first hired modeling shoot was Vogue magazine. And that was that. And then it was like, yeah. And then it just unfolded because every person that hated me for my body tape, Vogue, Joe called me and was like, I can't find a fitness model that looks like you. I need someone muscular. I need someone that looks like a fighter. You need to come here right now. And I was like, okay. And kind of snowballed effect from there.
So you were at a position, you grew up with brothers.
Yeah.
So it wasn't even, I don't want to use the word fault, but it was just natural life that when you're around your four older brothers, you want to keep up with your brothers. You want to play with your brothers. That's what you've got. And your brothers are probably throwing themselves and each other off things and running into things and doing things that boys do. So you just naturally had the result of becoming a tomboy.
Yeah, and I just wanted, and I loved athletics. My dad grew up in sports. He was a Navy SEAL in Vietnam, my dad. So he was just always, how can I say this, badass. And he grew up in sports. And I grew up in it. And, my parents never shied me away from that. They were just, you need to be you. You're a woman that loves sports. I mean, I had it all. I had like a mushroom haircut. I mean, I wanted to be in like t-shirts and shorts. I just loved being in that, but I was suffering at the same time being judged or trying to prove myself that I also love being on the womanly side. I love feminine things. I love getting my nails done. I love wearing dresses when I go out. I love everything in between. And for some reason, I couldn't be both. I had to choose one or another. And I had to suffer for that growing up. And I didn't understand why.
What a great thing for so many to hear, because I don't care if you're out there and you're listening with your parents right now and you're 12 years old or 13 years old and you're like, believe me, when you're 12 and 13 years old, for the next 6 to 30 years, you're still figuring yourself out.
Yeah.
Right there. Nobody, and here are people telling you when you're 13, no, you can't do this. No, you'll never do that. No one's going to want to be like that. It's not going to happen. And you're having people just flat out tell you that it's never going to be what you want it to be. And you just weren't willing to accept that.
No, I just threw myself into something that I love to do. I always just stayed authentic to myself, and it attracted the people that uplifted me and carried me in times of weakness. And I just thought, you're not supposed to connect to the whole world. You're supposed to connect to a few people and hopefully inspire them, and someone will hear your story and bring the best out of you. And that's exactly what happened. I mean, if I didn't meet the people I did, and I didn't stay authentic to myself, like I could have very easily at the age of 13 not played sports, lost a bunch of weight, been smaller is what society tells us sometimes, especially as women, to be smaller and be petite, and been the model because I already had the height and I already had the legs. And I refused. I was like, nah, this is what I love to do. I want to stay authentic to myself. Somebody's going to love me at the end of the day and see me for exactly who I am. And that's exactly what happened. And it took one person. It took Jill, the assistant editor of Vogue. Again, everybody denied me. I can't even tell you how many agencies were like, no, 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 never. And she just took her opinion. She was like, no, I love it. Let's go. Like, let's go.
And it took a supportive mom.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And my mom, of course. My mom
Right.
never makes me apologize for who I am ever.
And she's obviously very proud of you enough to interrupt a conversation she's overhearing at the seats behind her at the U.S. Open to say to a Vogue assistant editor, you want to call my daughter. So yay, mom, right?
Yes.
For
Oh,
standing behind her daughter and saying, this is who my daughter is. And the opportunity will present itself for her to be authentic to her and show everybody at the same time.
Yeah, I was lucky enough. My mom comes from a big family, so I was very lucky that I grew up with a lot of aunts and a lot of women cousins, and we just grew up that I grew up in Italian Jersey, so that's loud and proud, and if you don't speak up, you're not heard. So again, I never tried to apologize for who I was. I never tried to apologize for speaking out, and thankfully, the women in my family are probably some of the strongest women I know in my life, and I'm very, very, very thankful for that.
That's amazing. Folks, I'm sitting here and I'm talking to Courtney about this, and I'm gonna pray and I'm gonna force my daughter to listen to this episode. Right now, she's 19. She's already to the point where she's decided, leave me alone, Dad. Right? Yet, if you have kids, I don't care if they're a girl, I don't care if they're a boy, I don't care if they're a tomboy, I don't care if they want to lift things or if they want to paint and make music. Right? Whatever it is. The message that just comes screaming from Courtney is the being authentic to yourself, and you don't have to be there for the whole world. It was finding the right people, and the message will then get to the whole world through that.
Yeah, I just refused. And I said it on the show in the Titan Games. I said, no one is going to define what femininity means. I'm going to define what femininity means. And that's it at the end of the day. You can't tell me otherwise, So
I think my wife has a tank top that she wears when she runs a lot, and it says strong is the new sexy.
It is. It is. And I wish, and it's not even just strong physically, which I love. I express body positivity. I motivational speak for women and young kids and young boys all over. But it's just like a strong mindset is just the confidence walking into a room. I tell people all the time, sometimes, it's genetics that brings about a certain body type, but how you walk into a room, I mean, own it. Everybody wants to look at you and be like, what do they have to say? Without even saying a word, they want to turn to you and be like, what makes this happen? What makes you have this persona? What makes you have this presence? Everybody's going to turn to you and want to hear what you have to say.
All right. So, folks, if you want to know more about Courtney, we're not done talking for sure. But if you want to know more, you can always go to our website at Iron Grace Fitness. Is that correct?
IronGraceFitness.com. You can hit me up on my Instagram, Courtney_Roselle. But if you Google Iron Grace, it's my brand. So.
Yeah, and I want to ask that's and we'll remind you of all these things at the end, like we usually do, on how to get a hold of Courtney and how to connect with Courtney. But Courtney, I want to ask Iron Grace.
Iron Grace.
Tell us more. I mean, where did the name come from? I mean, it sounds like it's kind of logical, Chad. That's kind of an easy question. But tell us a little bit more about what's behind Iron Grace.
So, again, I grew up in basketball. And I love playing basketball. I had to be a strong athlete, but in order to be a basketball player, you have to be very graceful. You have to know how to handle a ball. You have to run down a court, run some plays. You can't just be strong. And that, again, brought out my feminine and my masculine side. Going into CrossFit, to move a barbell and do a clean and a snatch, the movements are called, I always call it poetry in motion, but you have to lift the barbell, be strong enough, but you have to be graceful enough to move the barbell in a certain direction and look good doing it. So, my old boss at the time that helped me come up with the name was like, what defines you? Like, what are you? And I was like, I'm a feminine tomboy. He's like, okay, let's take that. Like, what else? He's like, basketball, graceful, strong. You're in a barbell that's iron. And I was like, oh my God, Iron Grace. That's it. Like, it hit me like a ton of bricks. Your feminine side and your masculine side. And everybody has it. Doesn't matter what you are, what gender you identify with, but everybody has a masculine and feminine side. And it kind of just snowballed from there because my logo is a cheetah, and a cheetah is the most ferocious but gracious hunter in the wild. So that what made me come up with the logo. And I mean, then a clothing line I came out with to put the Iron Grace logo on it, and it literally just snowballed effect from there. But that's exactly how I came up with Iron Grace.
So there you go, folks. I mean, if you're looking to create your brand, it's just have that right conversation with that right person, and the words are going to come out of you, and before you know it, you've created it.
Yeah, exactly. And again, when you're creating a brand, make sure it identifies exactly who you are. Iron Grace is me. I am the strong type. I am the feminine type. So I just always want to say, stay true to yourself, and it will come out very, very easily what your next steps are.
Okay, let's talk about another brand, and that's CrossFit.
Yes.
Now, CrossFit gets a good rap and a bad rap, right? I mean, if you are a CrossFitter, and I just happen to be wearing actually a Murph t-shirt today as I look down and realize which one I put on. If you are a CrossFitter, you are a complete believer. Yet if you are not a CrossFitter, every CrossFitter talks about CrossFit too much that you justify all the reasons, right, that CrossFit could never work. And it's just one of the many forms of exercise. I mean,
Yes.
We want to talk health with people. Why CrossFit for you? And what would you say about people who maybe can't get to a gym right now, yet when everything clears up and gyms go back and people are looking to get back into that community work? What is it about CrossFit that called to someone like you and might call to other people?
I came out of college looking for a competitive edge again. Truthfully, CrossFit can be competitive. It cannot be competitive. It's whatever you make it. But I wanted the competitive edge in my life. And my brother just walked into a gym and everybody does the same exact workout that's on the board. Mind you, it's not the same weights. Maybe there's modifications at hand. Maybe someone's injured. They're doing something a little bit different. But at the end of the day, everybody in the room comes together as a community to complete the workout. And I just got that flashback as a team, like being on a basketball team. Everybody's going through it together. Everybody feels the pain, the sweat, the heartache, the toughness. And that's exactly what attracted me to the sport of CrossFit and then ending up competing in it. But I just wanted to identify with what it was, hard work, and then have other people in the room be on the same page as me. So that's what drew me in. And I mean, I never got into better shape in my life. I'm in the best shape of my life now than I was when I was playing college basketball by far. It's just functional fitness. It's everything. It's powerlifting. It's Olay lifting. It's pull-ups. I mean, I compete in the sport, so I maybe do a little bit more than sometimes the average person. I walk on my hands. I do handstand push-ups. But you can make it whatever you want to be, and everybody's going to, just congratulate you at the end of the day for even getting through the workout and go through the same toughness as you and get through it. So I think that's what draws people in. And everybody needs to understand that everybody is on their own level. And if you have a good community and you have a good gym, they're going to support you through the entire way. So, yeah.
That's awesome. And I'm sure they were supporting you through the show and through all the competitions that you've been on.
Yeah, I mean, they couldn't be prouder, especially my gym, Brazen Athletics in Hoboken. They were in absolute awe, and I couldn't tell them what happened. That was in my contract. I can't say what happened. So when they found out I won the entire East, they were like, what? What? They start flipping out. I mean, they couldn't be prouder, and that makes me so proud to work for them and support them, and they support me. I mean, it's a domino effect of energy. So, yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So you've been in the health industry for a long time. Give me that one health myth that you just want to bust. Like, what's that one thing that everybody always says that as you're training people and coaching people or just talking to anybody, you can't stand it when people say, what's that one thing that we've just heard all the years? What is it, Courtney?
Oh, the number one thing, especially from women, I don't want to do strength because I'm going to get bulky. Oh, God, it's a pet peeve of mine. It's a huge pet peeve of mine. They think that as soon as they touch a barbell, or some women, it's a lot better nowadays than it was, I would even say 10 years ago or even 5 years ago. But when people pick up a barbell and say they're just going to gain muscle too fast, or they're just going to look too bulky, or they're scared to do too many reps, drives me wild. Drives me absolutely wild. They think that
All
like
right.
going cardio is everything,
So all those people out there just running or just riding their Peloton all day, which I got my ride in this morning. I wasn't going to. And then I was like, well, I'm going to talk to Courtney. I'm not going to work out in before that. So folks, go pick up some weights, right? Get to
Yeah.
a gym. Don't just go pick them up on your own. Get a trainer, get somebody if you don't know what you're doing. But pick up some weights. You've got to work those into your workout is what you're telling us.
Yeah, totally. This is my thing. People need to gain muscle. If you want to lose weight, let's just say one of your goals is losing weight, right? You have to gain muscle to look lean, and also muscle burns more calories at rest. So when I'm resting compared to someone who doesn't have as much muscles, I'm burning more calories all the time. All the time. It makes you have the leaner look. It quote unquote eats fat, or whatever you want to say in your own terminology. I don't really technically say that. Other trainers do. But
Mm-hmm.
you need to have strength. I always say when I'm older, unfortunately, I don't think running a mile my fastest time is going to get me out of bed. Am I going to be strong enough to get me out of bed? So
So
that's what I always say to people. I don't shy from strength. And, when you say to a woman, they're really bulky, maybe you don't know their genetics. It's also number one, not nice. No, but they want to look like that. What makes you think they don't want to look the way they do if they work so hard? It shows discipline. It shows strength in your mind and your body and your spirit. And so I always like people to check themselves before they come in on a body, and they're like, oh, that's the way they look. I'm like, they love the way they look. They know exactly the way they look, and they love it. So don't hate on it. So
it's probably people projecting the fact that they don't look like that,
yeah.
that they say that you shouldn't look like that, right? They're pulling them back down instead of saying, well, dang, I should use you as an inspiration to go lift some weights myself.
Yeah, and I just want to be like, guys, that shows discipline. It took a lot of work, a lot of days, a lot of hours for them to look like that. And again, don't ever judge a book by its cover, ever. But I always want to say strength. I always tell people how I train. I'm a strength-based trainer. I will make you get strength. Doesn't mean you're going to gain all these muscles all around you and be bulky, but I also believe that people have more self-confidence the stronger that they are. I believe I'm able to walk in the room not because of my stature necessarily, but because I know strength-wise what I could do in a gym. And so I hold myself higher, and again, I want to make sure I have a presence in the room without even saying a word. And that's my main goal.
Okay. What's your favorite? Let's just talk strength for a minute. And this is everyone else out there is like, whoa. And now I'm going to get a little, right? What's your favorite lift?
Oh, a hang full clean. So it's
And what's,
Olympic, Olympic weightlifting. It's called a hang full clean. I love to do them in workouts. Love, love, love.
and what's your max?
210 is my hang full clean.
All right. Now I have a goal to go shoot for. All right.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you the one myth that if I could, but I can't stand when people tell me the carbs are bad.
Uh, yeah.
Right. That one drives me nuts when people are like, well, I have to eliminate all the carbs from my life. And
No.
it's just, so everybody listening out there, Courtney gave you hers. I'm not going to get into mine right now. If you want more on that, you just reach out to me. You know where to find me. But boy, stop telling me that carbs are bad, because the word is actually carbohydrate. And we need that second part of the word more than anything. And gosh, we won't get into that. All right. So Courtney, here you are. You're growing up. You're being told no.
Yes.
Yet
Oh
you
my
don't
life.
stop. You find something that you are passionate about, and that was the lifting. You find something you are passionate about, and that is the modeling of it that you want to make happen, and you never give up on it. It just so happens that it's not the channel you followed that made it all work. Through your lifting, through the confidence that comes from it, through the strengths that you're created, you obviously compete in the CrossFit games, you compete on the Titan games. What a wonderful platform. And it's giving you that place for leaving a mark and leaving everything behind. So you are inspiring others. You are empowering others for the opportunity to take your story and take it to that next step for themselves. What's the ultimate message you're sharing if I put you up on stage in front of, and somebody here might be saying, we got to book her for, an event when this thing's all over. But what's the ultimate message that's coming out from you at some keynote speech that you're giving to some organization?
Well, it depends on the organization I'm giving it to, so I will not lie. But,
Okay.
a lot of women, I speak to a lot of body positivity, a lot of high school girls and a lot of high school boys. And I always just say, number one, please invest in yourself. You are the number one investment in life. There is no other investment. I can't even explain to you how much that means to me when someone says that. You need to dive into yourself. You need to put energy into yourself. You can put all the energy out, but you also need to receive it. So everybody needs to invest in themselves. Self love creates a domino effect to love others. It's just that simple. I always tell people, especially bullies in high schools, because again, I speak to them a lot, hurt people hurt people. So just to know, sometimes when you're getting feedback or sometimes you're getting hate on you, it's come from a hurt place. But also know you have something that maybe other people have that they don't have. My favorite quote is robbers don't rob empty homes. If you think about it,
Oh, say that again. I like that.
robbers never rob empty homes.
Mm.
So you are rich in something that maybe the other person doesn't have. So you need to invest in yourself first at all times, self-love. And I'm not saying become selfish. I'm not saying become, narcissistic in any way, but you need to take care of yourself first in order for you to love others and spread all that positivity. So that's what I always say. And then again, please stay true to yourself. Please stay authentic to yourself. You're going to attract your tribe sooner or later in life. And that's all that matters in work, in friendship, in relationship, in family. You will attract your tribe. Someone will hear you. You'll inspire others. And that's why you're here on this earth. You're here on this earth to inspire others, in my mind. Smile in front of those who ever didn't accept you and be motivated by those who ever doubted you. And that is it. So always just believe in that at the end of the day.
Okay. I love it. Now, you say in there two things I caught in there, self love and being authentic. Now, one, we all know how to be authentic,
Yes.
right? There's no like tips and tricks to being authentic. Just be you,
Yes.
right? That's being authentic. But self love, give me like two or three things that you do or you have done or whatever that help you always remember to love yourself so that you have love to give to others.
Well, number one, it goes by what you surround yourself with day in, day out. What you decide to listen to and hear at the end of the day always affects your self love. I do not truthfully put myself around gossipy like people and gossipy things, and I don't like to attract negativity. So what you put yourself day in, day out, your supporters at the end of the day is number one, because you are what you are in your environment. I will say that.
Okay.
All the time. Your environment is you, and you can't help it. You really can't help it some days. You're just, but you need to make sure that you surround yourself with the absolute best people that have the best intentions for you, because automatically your thoughts go into positivity day in, day out. Um, I always just tell myself, and it sounds crazy, but I look in the mirror some days where I am exhausted. I am dead tired. Maybe I got some crazy DMs of hate, and I'm just like, you were born and being in this life for a reason. You were able to take hits that other people were not able to take for a reason. And I say to myself in the mirror in the morning. I do. I say it out loud. I say it to myself, and it makes me feel better at the end of the day. I'm able to take hits that other people aren't able to take, and you're able to drive past that other people aren't to take. So swallow it, swallow your pride, and just go on with the day, you know?
Okay. All right. So, folks, love yourself, and your environment's going to be that first thing, right? Make sure that
Yeah.
you're somewhere nice that's going to bring that to you, and the messages, of course, that you're telling yourself in your brain. You also mentioned in there, Courtney, about inspiring, that you believe we're all here to inspire others.
Yeah.
So everyone's inspiring somebody. Some people get to inspire lots of people. Sometimes you might only inspire one, yet you don't even know it. They're looking and you're inspiring them. Who are some of the people that have inspired you, other than you already told us about the strong women in your family and all of that? But who are some of those people that have inspired you as you have become the person that you are creating?
Like not famous people, right? Because or
I don't care.
anybody.
Whoever's inspired you.
Yeah. It also comes back. I have to say this. I'm very lucky for the men in my life, especially my four brothers, that support strong women. Very, I mean, the females can make uprise and inspire females, but when a male, especially my brothers, or I have two dads. So I have a stepdad and my biological father, my father,
Mhm.
but they never made me apologize for who I was, for being a strong woman. They never were like, oh, you should be little, you should be, meek, like that was everything. That was everything to me because what the opposite gender, thought about me, and finding relationships and finding boyfriends and maybe not being with a certain man because I spoke up and they told me that a lot of relationships didn't work in my life because they told me I didn't need them and they didn't like that. And my
Mhm.
brothers and my dad were like, don't care. Push them to the side. I don't care because you're too big for them. You're too much for them. And they never were like, maybe you should be more ladylike. Never, 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 never. So those are probably the most inspiring people in my life.
Awesome. So let's take your brothers
Yeah.
without getting into the specifics because we might not want to embarrass one of them. You take them on the Titan games against you. Who comes out winning? You or your brothers?
Oh,
You
me.
taking them all down?
Me, 100%. I am number one of the biggest in my family. They're all like Italian, and unfortunately, they have the Italian trait of being shorter. They have my dad's German side. So
Got
I
it.
have like the tall, they are shorter than me, but they also know I'm the youngest, I'm the baby, and I feel like when you're the youngest, you have survival of the fittest. You're like,
Okay, there you go. Good. All right. So survival of the fittest has given you that opportunity
oh
as
yeah.
well. And if your brothers were to want to mess with you, they know that they'd end up having lost that battle.
Yeah, they know I'm not going down with like you better trample on me. I swear I'm not going down without a fight. So they know that about me as a human being.
All right, got it. Okay, so you work out. I think everyone's figured that out by now if they're listening to this. You work out. Yet, Courtney, there are days you don't want to. I don't
100%.
care if it's you. I don't care if it's me and I love it. I don't care if it's The Rock himself. There are days you just don't want to work out. And the people listening to this, some of them haven't even started working out. Some of them might take working out and meaning I just got to do whatever my job is, and I just don't want to today. How do
Yeah.
you overcome the challenge of just don't want to?
The discipline and the habit definitely is number one of them. When you, what it takes, they say 30 days for something to become a habit. I think that's true. Is that true?
Well, if you're going to ask me, I'm going to tell you the studies actually say it's 66
Oh,
days, which,
66.
yes, if you want to read a book called The One Thing, they'll explain that and more in there. But yes, it takes a while for a habit to be created. Most people want it overnight.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, how many people are like, "Can you get me abs in about a day?" And I was like, "Wait, what? What just happened?" I mean, I was like, "How
If you
many?"
could, I'd pay for that too, just so you know.
Yeah, I was like, "What do you mean by that?" But number one, creating a habit is always my thing, and just being disciplined to do it. Number two, I can't explain to people how good you will feel and the endorphins that will come out of you when you just do a simple workout. And you don't need to be a hero. So everybody thinks, I swear, that they need to work out 3 hours a day, 7 days a week for your body to transform. And that's so not true. Just be happy and just be healthy. You can do 3 days a week, maybe an hour, and just to be happy and healthy. I'm not saying you're competing in a competition. Stop with the pressure on yourself. Just be happy and healthy because the stress that people put on themselves to work out is absolutely mind blowing. It's mind blowing. People don't realize that stress involves the inflammation of the body. And sometimes that's why you're not the goal that you're hitting. Sleep, stress, eating, and then working out. Make sure it's enjoyable at the end of the day. And if it's not enjoyable, find a workout that is enjoyable for you. Maybe it's not CrossFit. Maybe it's bodybuilding. Maybe it's Zumba. Maybe it's yoga. But find something you enjoy at the end of the day. Create the habit, and it's going to easily come out. So I love what I do every single day at the end of the day. Even when I don't feel like I'm working out, I'm like, oh, the endorphins that are flying through my body after an hour of working out, you'll never experience. So just doing it. It's awesome to feel.
Okay. So we've got with us Courtney Roselle, the Beast of the East from the Titan Games, a CrossFit competitor, Iron Grace training, irongracefitness.com is the website, but you are personal trainer through that in the New
Yes.
Jersey area, created a brand. You're a speaker that talks to people about body positive messages and all of that stuff. There's so many discussions out there. We've got model, we've got so many things. And as we come to the end of this opportunity today, what's the one message? You've said a lot of things and you've said some amazing things and powerful things, right? What's the one thing I haven't asked you yet, or we haven't had the chance, it hasn't come up in our conversation yet, that you want to talk to our audience about so that you're leaving that legacy upon all of them to be able to continue taking their legacies forward?
If you are struggling with something, and this is crazy, talk about it. It sounds so simple, because you might be empowering somebody else. And that's always what I tell people. If I didn't tell my story of rejection and all my flaws and everything in between, I would have never booked the Titan Games. I would have never been the personal trainer that I am. So if you are struggling with anything, talk about it with someone, because you literally might be inspiring somebody else to empower themselves at the end of the day. That's what I always say. I always say that. So you will find your tribe from it.
And right now, with everything that this world is going through and our country here is definitely going through,
so much.
There's a lot of people dealing with a lot of stuff that they should probably be talking to people about.
Yeah. And because you might relate to somebody and you're like, I feel that way too. And you thought you're the only one in this world feeling that way. That's so not true. And again, you can bounce ideas off each other. You can bounce positivity off each other, empowerment, inspiration, just because you decided to open your mouth about it. It's just that simple. And it domino effects. Again, then you find some self-love, you give it to others, they start giving it to others, and let's go all in.
Wow. It's a powerful, powerful message from a powerful, powerful woman who is a role model to, I want to say to women everywhere, but I'm going to say women and men everywhere.
Thank you.
Because it's not just women who want to feel confident the way that you do in their bodies. There are men out there who obviously would look to that exact same thing and feeling the confidence in whatever it is they want in the authentic person that they really are in there. So Courtney, thank you for taking the time today. If anybody on the podcast wants to connect with you, we mentioned a few of the things earlier, yet tell me, where are the best places for people to find Courtney Roselle after this episode?
Definitely on my Instagram, Courtney_Roselle, or my Facebook is Courtney Lynn. And then just through my website, irongracefitness.com, you will definitely find me. I answer every single DM, Facebook message, email, you name it, I answer it. So please reach out if you need anything, even if it's just someone to talk to. I am here at all times.
And I will tell you, she does answer her messages, because that's how I got a hold of her, was just Instagram messaging her. The Rock still hasn't answered me, but Courtney, at least you have. So I'll keep chasing him on that. So we really, on behalf of the Win, Make, Give team, want to thank you for joining us today. Folks, we want you to remember that you just need to be authentic in who you are, whether that is someone who wants to lift, whether that is someone who wants to play piano, whether that is someone who wants to do whatever it is. Find the authentic you and live that person. We hope that you will share this episode with everybody that you know that needs to hear this message from someone else. We hope you'll go back and watch the Titan game so you can actually see Courtney do what Courtney did so well on the show, which will really help continue inspiring you and others in the message that she had to share here today. Courtney, thank you very much for joining us. Everybody else, thank you for joining us on today's episode. Until our next episode, remember, wash those hands, and as always, do good.